Hi, Space Coast. I'm Isadora with Florida Today, and I'm here from my home. Today, we're going to be live streaming a conversation to talk about what's being done in Brevard County to help the most vulnerable as we deal with the coronavirus outbreak. And joining me today here on this live stream from their respective offices and homes are Rob Rains, president of the United Way of Brevard County, Johnette Gindling. She is the president and CEO of the Space Coast Health Foundation, and Theresa Grimison. She is the president and CEO of the Community Foundation of Brevard. Welcome you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I hope everybody is staying safe. But I want to begin this conversation, and also we'll be talking about the 2020 census after this. But I want to begin with a conversation. I want you to explain what's being done. I know there's a COVID-19 response fund or funds that were created by your organizations. I want to hear more about it, beginning with what is the purpose of these funds and how are they going to be allocated? If anybody wants to go first.
Right. Thank you, Isadora. I'll take a stab, and then of course I know our partners will jump in and flesh things out. But really, we're obviously in uncharted territory. We're all being stretched, our community, our organizations, our friends and family, and with so much uncertainty and us all adjusting, it can be hard to navigate forward on one's own, frankly. And so fortunately, the three of us are used to working together and, picked up the phone and said, let's together, we're stronger. And so together we're coordinating on a weekly basis, at least, and really it's about every day or every other day of talking about what we're hearing and seeing in the nonprofit community and on the ground, and how can we together make sure that we're putting the resources that we have at hand and that folks are stepping in and contributing most effectively and most efficiently to those who need them and need the support.
And how much is being made available to help these groups of people?
So Isadora, we have three separate funds. We are putting matching dollars out there right now. Each organization put in $50,000 for a total of $150,000 that we're matching, but we're all accepting donations through our site. And then these funds can be used to help individuals who have needs during this time, but also our not-for-profit partners who are trying to help individuals with needs.
And so and can you give us the websites if people want to look up more information?
Yes, so Space Coast Health Foundation, our website is our initials, schfbrevard.org. That's schfbrevard.org. And if my partners want to give their sites.
We're at CF Brevard, so cfbrevard.org.
And United Way of Brevard, you Google it, it'll come up, but uwbrevard.org.
And so, I know that this is kind of you explained that's a twofold fund. So we're talking about helping the most vulnerable in our community as well as nonprofits. Can we define, who are the people who qualify to receive help, so that people kind of don't waste their time trying to get that help and then they might not qualify?
I'll jump in here. So there are a lot of great efforts that are happening beyond us. The businessmen in the restaurant industry doing this tip jar fundraiser, which I think is fantastic. And so each of our organizations has maybe a little bit different focus. Obviously, the Space Coast Health Foundation is more health. As Theresa said, we all are used to working together. So for we're all looking to raise money, and a lot of times the donors have an interest in where the dollars go. But for the United Way effort, right now we are focused on what we call the COVID-19 response fund, and that target audience are people that have been laid off, their income has been impacted by the virus, and we're trying to help them. So think employees, people that worked in hotels and restaurants, but there's many others that are affected. So we have committed an initial $50,000. We've raised about another $60,000 for that. We've partnered with 201 Brevard to do initial screening, because we know people have been, the people in the community that have issues all the time, but this is for COVID-19. So people that have gotten laid off, if they are family income's under $75,000, and again, they've applied for unemployment, which we will. They'll call 211, just dial 211. They'll screen them, and then case managers with United Way and Space Coast Health Foundation will try to assist them. We'll work up their case and direct them to other resources and possibly getting funding through the COVID-19 response fund. We pay for rents, utilities, and we're looking at food support and how to address that. And because food is becoming a bigger issue in all of our minds right now. Those folks that have not gotten a paycheck for a couple of weeks now, they may not get evicted right away. They may not have their power turned off, but they do need to get food on the table. So that's something we're very concerned about.
And the help itself, will it vary depending on size of the family or depending on the need? How are you evaluating how much each person gets here?
So yeah, that is a challenge because we have limited amount of money, and we are very focused on trying to triage and help the folks that are in the most basic needs or the dire needs. So we, as I said, they go through 211, we case manage them, we hear what their story is, we find out if it's just, a single wage earner, say a single mom with a couple of kids, and there's no money coming in, that situation is going to rise to the top and is more likely to get funded on the front end, as opposed to a family that has two wage earners and maybe one person has lost their job or reduced hours. So we have a little scoring system. But we'll hear the stories, we'll find out what other resources they have, what they're doing to help themselves, and then do the best we can with the money that we have to help the people in the greatest need.
All right, so call 201 if you want to hear more about it. I'll ask now Jeanette and Theresa to explain which groups are you targeting and the requirements, et cetera.
So we're going to partner with United Way specifically on individuals and helping in that area. And some of our team are serving on the group to look at those applications and support funding there. And then from an agency standpoint, again, the three of us are coordinating, talking about the agency needs. Of course, for the foundation, we'll be focusing on those healthcare needs.
Okay.
And I would say,
actually, we talk about the survey too. You want to talk about the survey we did too?
Sure, I'll cover that, and then you jump in, Rob, if you would. I would say that from the Community Foundation standpoint, food security is right at the top of our list, as well as other basic needs for folks. And we work with, and all of us do, a range of organizations across the county. And, we'll be reaching out regularly, obviously on the phone and via email, but also what Rob is mentioning is we'll be doing some surveying of our organizations and asking for direct feedback to particular questions, trying to keep all of that information and response really efficient and streamlined, because we know these organizations on the ground are doing, the hardest work. And I would just like to add, really quickly before maybe Rob wants to flesh out more about the survey, but with all of the happenings with the CARES Act, where we're seeing some tremendous support coming down the pipe, that nonprofits are going to need everyone's support. And so I would recommend, if you have organizations and issues that have been near and dear to your heart, this is going to impact them all. And I know that they will all appreciate your direct support as well as working with any of the three of us. Rob, do you want to go in more detail about the survey?
No, I would just echo what you had to say. And so, not-for-profits, just like small businesses, they're looking at the revenue stream, and many of them in the spring, they're doing events, they're doing golf tournaments, they're doing galas, and those events aren't happening. And in many cases, that could be like 25% of their whole year's budget. That's not happening. And so they are very concerned about their employees and having to maybe lay people off. They're very concerned about how they're going to continue to care for their clients. And so just as you worry about a restaurant may not be there, may not make it, we're worried about some of these not-for-profits that are critical to our community that may not be able to survive this. So I would echo what Theresa had to say, and let's reach out and support them. We did a survey. We asked them questions about funding. They had the same kinds of needs, looking for personal protective equipment, worrying about childcare, or there are a lot of the same things that businesses and other people in the community we're looking at to keep operating and serving people that they need. So that's something that the three of us are looking at, those responses and how we can help them continue with their mission.
And those who are interested to contributing can go to your respective websites, correct? Which you can Google them. It should come up pretty easily. But I saw this figure in one of our stories, which is just mind blowing. So Florida, as of March 21st, there was a record breaking number of claims in the state of Florida, 74,000. Just the week before, it was 6,400. I mean, I can't even, it's hard to even wrap your mind around these numbers, but it seems to me that this fund is going to have to grow quite a bit to be able to cover all the needs that we have here, right?
Yeah, we realize right now we don't have the funding. And so we are trying to be careful in making sure that we're not duplicating, that we're paying attention to the stimulus funding that's coming down, and making sure we're spreading the wealth that we can, but also looking for additional donations to help.
And the good news too from our side is that we have tremendous philanthropists that are working with us regularly, who immediately stepped in and made sure that funding started going into the stream for critical organizations like Aging Matters in Brevard, for our Brevard Homeless Coalition, for the St. Vincent de Paul Society in Indian Atlantic, more to come. And but again, I think you're right, Isadora, and we all realize that the financial need is going to get bigger and bigger as the weeks go by. And that's why it's so critical, and why Johnette, Rob, and I said, let's do this as smartly as we can, because we know that this is it's bigger than all three of us are going to be able to tackle alone.
Yeah, and that's amazing that you're all doing that. But I wonder, just anecdotally, have your agencies gotten more phone calls from just members of the public seeking help? Have you been overwhelmed with the requests for assistance in the county so far?
Well, in the 211, their call volume has tripled going into and so yeah, that obviously that is increasing as people are trying to figure things out. And I want to just also agree with Johnette and talk to you about, like, the needs are going to be greater. Yeah, I think we're heading towards, you see some of the economists, that like 30 to 35% unemployment in the nation in the next couple of months, which is, greater than the Great Depression. So it's very, very concerning, but very pleased that the federal government has acted the way they have. The CARES Act, there's a lot in there that are going to take care of citizens. The expanded and increased benefits for unemployment are significant. The $600 a week on top of what the state's unemployment is, and but it's going to take some time for those benefits to reach people. And so for me, I'm really concerned about this next 4 or 5 weeks before some of that funding flows into communities. I think, as Theresa mentioned, the food insecurity issues are going to be very important. So we want to act quickly in that arena. And then, as you said, things are changing all the time, and we have to adapt to the new environment. Yeah,
and I hope people watching this are able and willing to donate to these efforts. And so now I want to move into another very important discussion that I feel like is kind of going by the wayside because of the coronavirus, which is the 2020 census. And I remember sitting in a meeting with Rob last year when he was trying to get a committee together to make sure that Brevard gets counted in the 2020 census. And now this is the first year that the census can be taken online, which is kind of a blessing, right, Rob, that we're able to do this online, especially now with all the social distancing guidelines.
Yeah, I think it's been terrific, and Theresa and Johnette were in that room too, so we were all there working together on that as well. I don't know, Johnette, did you look up the latest numbers for where we're at so far? Did I hear you say that?
I did. So from a nation, we're at 34.3% response. as of yesterday, and Brevard is actually doing a little better than the nation. We're at 38.1% response
Okay.
so far. And the interesting about that is 33.6 of those responses have been online. So people are using that. But Census Day, it's like Isadora said, it's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit, but Census Day is tomorrow. And we do need to increase the response. It's ironic that we're going through this pandemic at this time when we're taking a census, because so much of the help is based on census dollars and or census numbers to get the dollars. And so it is important right now that we get those census complete and turned in.
Yes, and so if you have not responded to the census, remember, this is required in the U.S. Constitution. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what the census does and how your information gets shared. Please Google. Florida Today has I believe, information about all of that. But it's important that you respond to the census. You probably have gotten a letter in the mail with a unique code that you can go online. I believe this website is 2020census.gov, but make sure you Google that. And it takes less than 10 minutes. It took me 5 minutes to fill out mine, but I have quite a small household, but it's very easy and simple. And I wonder if you want to talk about some of the misconceptions about the census, just because there are, especially in this digital age, there's a lot of myths being spread about the census.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, obviously there's concerns. The census data cannot be shared with any other governmental entity. It is confidential. It won't be shared with law enforcement or ICE or anybody else for 72 years. 72 years, it's blocked out in a box. They have really done some extraordinary efforts to keep the data safe. So those are the two big things. People worried about safety, people worried about sharing of information, and it's against the law for the Census Bureau to share any of that. So that's not going to happen. And as you mentioned, and Johnette mentioned, it's so critical for so many funding formulas, not just social services, but school lunches and roads, and businesses make decisions on where to place their businesses based on census data. It's our legislative, how many seats we have in Congress is based on that. So it is the civic duty. It's in the Constitution, as you mentioned, Isadora. It's critical that everybody be counted. I did mine last night. It took me 5-6 minutes. I have a small household too, and it feels good to do that civic duty. So we hope people will do it. The census have been going. I think some people got their first notice and then they got the second notice within a day or so, because the way it rolled out. But the census did get extended. The deadline, I think, now is going to be August 14th now. But we have time. We're in our homes. We're looking at our computers. We're looking at our phones. You can fill it out on either platform. But it has to happen. And so the idea here is, if you fill out your census now, you get taken off, and they're not going to send you any more letters. And certainly when people are able to come back, if you don't complete the census, somebody's going to come knock on your door to get that information. So the first step is to get everybody to do it online. The next step is that they'll mail you the full survey and ask you to do that. And then somebody will knock on your door. So if you do it, you save trees being killed, so they don't send you a full survey, and you save somebody from knocking on your door. So we really encourage everybody to go online, fill it out. It's easy. It's important. Just do it.
And Rob Landers, our broadcast director, has included the website so you can go and take the census. I don't know if you guys know the answer to this, but you mentioned people knocking on your door if you don't fill out the census. With all the social distancing guidelines, is there a chance that might get delayed or might not happen at all? Because there's obviously a public health concern as well.
Right. Yes, right now that is being delayed. They have suspended that. I don't know the date to which they suspended it, but it is suspended for now.
So that's even more incentive to do it online. Make sure you do your civic duty. So we're at 20 minutes now, but I want to make sure that is there anything else that any of you want to mention here?
Well, thank you for the time and the platform. We appreciate you and Florida Today. You guys are doing a great job informing our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isadora.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you all, and fill out the census. call 201 Brevard if you are in need of any assistance. They are sort of the clearinghouse for all of our social needs in Brevard. And check out more information about efforts here to help nonprofits and those in need. And thank you all for watching, and stay safe and practice your social distancing guidelines. Thank you.